Carefully approaching the tree at the back of the house, Cassie saw the tire swing she'd played on as a kid swing in the wind. A storm was coming. Even though there was a full moon tonight, which would have given her better visibility, it was hidden behind black clouds. All the barn's lights were off. Odd, since at least one was always lit at night, the floodlight on the timer that illuminated Miss Arena's pen. That light came on at dusk and stayed on until dawn. Her chill grew worse. Something was wrong. Horribly wrong. The barn door was wide open. Her gut tightened. If there really was an intruder, she didn't want to walk in and get jumped. Quietly, creeping into the pen, next to the dilapidated barn, her heart hammered faster and faster in her chest, making it hard to breathe. Where was O'Malley? Why wasn't he answering her? She had to push forward, though fearing what she might find. A loud, metallic crash echoed behind her. She flattened her body on the ground and aimed her gun in the direction of the noise. One glance, and she realized the sound hadn't come from O'Malley or an intruder. The pen's gate, which she'd just gone through, had been slammed shut by the wind. Exhaling, Cassie stood and continued inching her way to the side of the barn. At the wall, she peered through the broken window into the interior, but without any illumination, all she could see was pitch black. She couldn't hear anything but gusts blowing eerily through the barn's gaping boards. Shining her flashlight into the space would alert anyone inside to her location, but she had to take the risk. She had to find O'Malley. Maybe he had chased the goat into the barn, hit his head on something, and passed out. At first, she saw the same old dusty building she'd known her whole life. Rusted tools, Miss Arena's feed bags, an old saddle, miscellaneous items strewn about. When her flashlight's beam reached the farthest spot in the barn, she saw something that made her cringe. O'Malley was on the ground, his legs sticking out from the last stall. He must have hit his head. She ran through the barn door, scanning every direction as she made her way to her partner. But there was no one else in the barn. She was alone. Cassie rushed to him. When she saw what had really happened to O'Malley, she froze. The scene before her was so horrific, she fell to her knees. O'Malley's head was severed and lay 3 feet away from his body. His glassy eyes were wide and fixed. He seemed to be staring up at the ceiling. Blood dripped from every board in the stall and pooled under his neck. Shaking violently, she retched again and again. "He's dead. Oh, God, no! O'Malley is dead!" Turning away, Cassie used her free hand to grab hold of the stall's gate, trying to regain control of herself and get to her feet. Her mother's intruder hadn't been just another figment of her wild imagination. He was real. He was here. He was a killer. "I've got to get to Mom." Gun in hand, Cassie bolted out of the stall, past the barn doors, round the pen, and into the backyard. When she saw her mother through the kitchen window, relief shot through her. But the killer might still be close. With every ounce of energy left in her, Cassie ran into the house. She had to get her mom to safety. As she rushed into the kitchen, her mom dropped the salad bowl and yelled, "Behind you, Cassie!" Cassie spun around and lowered her body, firing at the man swinging an axe in her direction. The instinct to survive thundered inside her. Her bullet had connected. She'd hit him in the heart. The black, masked intruder fell to the floor as his bloody weapon flew over her head across the kitchen. Hearing a groan behind her, Cassie turned around and saw her mom collapse. The axe was sticking out of her mother's chest, her pale blue blouse turning a dark red from the lethal wound. "Mom!" She knelt down next to her. "Cassie, get my blood." She rushed to the refrigerator. In the very back sat the brown plastic pitcher where her mom hid the bags of blood. To this day, Cassie still didn't know where she got them. Grabbing one, she knelt back down by her mom, administering a few drops to her lips. The blood. It had been a big part of Cassie's childhood. On special days, which her mother claimed had significance to their lineage, they would each drink a single drop from a chalice. But ceremony wasn't the only time blood was consumed. Her mother believed in the healing power of human blood and gave it to her whenever she was ill or hurt. By the time Cassie was 11, she refused to take a drop of the crimson liquid. So gruesome. But whatever doubts she had about the practice weren't important now. Her mother believed, and that was all that mattered. Her mom's cheeks brightened, giving her some faith that maybe the blood would work. "Cassie, my cell, in my apron pocket." Fighting back the tears that were stinging her eyes, Cassie pulled out her mother's phone. "I've got it, Mom. Don't talk. I'm here. Call Rom." Her mother's voice was weak, barely a whisper. "Who is Rom?" Her mom was slipping fast. "He'll know what to do." "I will call him, I promise, but first I'm calling 911 to get you help." "No, Cass." Her mom reached up and touched her on the cheek. "The humans can't help us." Her words were barely intelligible, and Cassie had to lean down close to make them out. Help. Danger." "This is the 911 operator. What's your emergency?" "The Black Mask. They found us." Her mother's eyes closed. "No, this can't be happening." "This is Officer Cassandra Wright of the SAPD. I'm at 318 Douglas Street. My mother needs an ambulance. She's been hit in the chest with an axe. An intruder has killed my partner and attempted to kill me and my mother. Suspect is dead." Her mom opened her eyes, and in what seemed to be a sharp moment of clarity said, "Call Rom, Cassie." And then she started choking violently. "Mom, hold on. Help is on the way." "Must sleep." Her mother stopped breathing. "We need an ambulance now. My mother's not breathing." Cassie checked her pulse, but found none. She needed to do something, but what? With the axe protruding from her chest, CPR was impossible, and her training had taught her that removing such a weapon could be fatal. The operator came through her cell speaker. "An ambulance and the sheriff are on the way. Stay on the line with me." She bent over her mother, tears blurring her vision. "Please don't leave me. Please, Mom, live." Again, she checked for a pulse. Again, she found none. "Where's that damn ambulance?" she screamed into the phone. "Stay calm. They're almost there. You should be able to hear them." She listened to the sirens announcing the impending arrival of the first responders, but realized they would arrive too late. Her mom was dead, and so was O'Malley, the only two people in the world that she loved. With tears streaming down her cheeks, she stood and returned the blood to her mother's hiding place, not wanting to have to explain it to the sheriff when he arrived on scene. Loose lips sink ships, Cassie. As the loss crushed every part of her, Cassie glared at the killer responsible for her mom's and O'Malley's deaths. The bastard was dead too, but that didn't make her feel any better. His black mask was askew on his head, revealing a square jaw and thin lips covered in blood. Black mask. Is the blood O'Malley's? She stared at the mask. It had two axes drawn in white on its crown. Oh God, it can't be. She moved closer to the dead man, and when she saw his left hand, Cassie felt her heart skip several beats. His palm had the same hue as hers and her mother's. Pale violet. It's true. It's all true. She bent down next to her mother and once again checked for a pulse. If she could find one, and the tales about how the Morvicti slumbered to heal their bodies were true, she could get her mother back. But her heart had stopped. Her breathing ceased. She's really gone. They found us, Mom. You aren't crazy. An all-consuming guilt took hold of her. Why didn't I believe you? This is all my fault. I'm so sorry. Her sobs shook her entire body. The sheriffs and his deputies rushed in, weapons drawn. She knew all of them well because of the many times her mother had called 911 in the past. He's dead. Her tone was level, though she wanted to scream, wanted to run, wanted to get as far away from this nightmare as possible. Who's dead? The sheriff asked. That man lying over there with the black mask. He killed my mother and my partner. One of the deputies, a man she'd gone to high school with, stood next to the sheriff. Where is your partner, Cassie? In the barn, but brace yourself, it's gruesome. She closed her eyes, trying to will the image of O'Malley's decapitated body out of her mind. But it would never go away, thanks to the hideous memory she owned. The bloodied corpse of the man who had been as close to a loving father as possible was branded in her mind forever. The deputy ran out the back. The sheriff helped her to a chair in the living room as the EMTs rushed in. It took them very little time to calmly tell her what she already knew. I'm sorry, but your mother has passed. Her mother was indeed dead. The sheriff put his arm around her. I'm so sorry, Cassie. As more officials arrived and the sheriff started asking her questions, Cassie's mind swirled with an overwhelming grief and a million thoughts. She felt sick and lost, alone and afraid. How many more of these black masks were out there? What would they do when their buddy didn't return with her mom's head? What was unusual about the light being out by the barn? The sheriff asked. Mom always keeps it on at night. It's on a timer. Though she was able to answer all his questions, Cassie felt completely disconnected, numb. It was as if she was watching a movie of herself, like a bad dream, a nightmare. The sheriff wrote down the last of her answers on his notepad. Cassie, you know how many times I've been called out to this house? I do. Mom was always so afraid. Do you think there's a connection? Maybe your mother was being stalked all these years. What would the sheriff think if she told him everything? My mother's killer is a member of the Brotherhood of Purity who sees me as an abomination, something to be executed? The sheriff would think she was in shock or just plain crazy. No way was she telling him everything. Too dangerous. So she lied. I just don't know. There would be more questions, many more, because even though she was off duty when she'd arrived at her mom's home, she'd been in uniform and had fired her weapon, taking a man's life. Not a man, a monster, a Morvicti. Cassie's captain and the San Angelo chief of police walked into the living room together. One at a time, they hugged her. Your officer is pretty shook up, fellas, the sheriff told them. But she's hanging in there. The Rangers should be here shortly. Thanks for calling, Sheriff Tyler. The chief shook hands with him. We appreciate it. Her captain nodded. We need to be here for Cassie. The next hour, she was vaguely aware of the constant activity around her. All her thoughts were focused on her mother and the incredible tales of the Morvicti. While the laws of the secret society didn't condone the killing of those like Cassie, they also didn't acknowledge the lineage of half-bloods. The Morvicti zealots, however, were willing to break their own laws, believing eradication of those who were not full blood was justified and a righteous calling. They were the ones who had taken the name the Brotherhood of Purity. Everything her mother had ever told her was true, all of it. With the help of a few trusted family members, none of whom Cassie had ever met, her mother had gone into hiding when she'd gotten pregnant. But who was Rom? Was he related to her mother? Mom wanted me to call him to help. Why? Why him? You've been listening to Morvicti Execution, Episode 4, Bloodline Revelation. New episodes drop every Monday and Friday, or you can binge the full series early on patreon.com/Lee Swift. If you're enjoying the story, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell to stay in the loop. Thanks for listening. See you next time.